Good morning, room 15. This is Mrs. Lopez, and I'm here to read our daily read aloud of Mrs. Patty is Batty. Today is Wednesday, April 22nd, 2020, and according to the weather, it's supposed to be a very nice and a little bit of a hot day today. So if you're able to, hopefully you can enjoy that, go outside, play with the water if you can. If not, stay cool, drink lots of water, stay healthy. All right, so are you guys ready to continue with our story? Yesterday, we left off right after the Halloween parade, and there was a little accident. Oof, it's embarrassing. Hopefully, that never happens to any of us, right? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to continue with chapter 5, I Rule the School. We marched around the playground for about 1,100,000 hours. Finally, the dumb parade was over and we could go home. Or at least I thought we could go home. First, we all had to go back inside the school and sit in the all-purpose room. There was a fancy chair on the stage. It was like one of those chairs you see in a palace. When all the classes were seated, music started playing, and some tall guy came into the all-purpose room dressed up like a king. He was wearing a gold cape and he was holding a big sword. It was Mr. Klutz, our principal. Even though he was wearing a crown on his head, I knew it was him. He is completely bald. Completely. Up with their heads, Mr. Klutz shouted as he marched down the center aisle. Let them eat cake. Miss Daisy told us that in the old days, kings were constantly chopping off people's heads and making them eat cake. That must have been a cool time to live. I like cake, but I don't think I would like the chopping off your head part very much. There's Mr. Klutz. I rule the school, Mr. Klutz announced, and he sat in his fancy chair. Quiet down, or you'll be thrown in the dungeon in the basement. This was a complete lie. Everybody knows the dungeon is on the 3rd floor. Cool costume, Mr. Klutz, some kid yelled. Silence, Mr. Klutz hollered. I know not this Klutz person of whom you speak. I am King Louis the 14th of France. Why are you dressed up like a king? Ryan asked. As king, he replied, I need not worry about parent-teacher conferences and behavior problems and head lice and bus schedules and test scores. I am all powerful. What I say goes. Mr. Klutz was talking just like a real king. It was cool. After he finished acting all king-like, he talked to us about Halloween safety. He told us to have fun trick-or-treating, but to look both ways before we cross the street. He said we shouldn't go inside any strange houses, and we shouldn't eat any candy that isn't wrapped up. What should we do if we come to a house and they don't give us any candy? Asked one of the 3rd graders. Off with their heads, said Mr. Klutz. What if some kids don't get any candy? Asked one of the 1st graders. Let them eat cake. Mr. Klutz enjoyed being a king a little too much, if you ask me. I couldn't wait to get out of school because, well, I can't wait to get out of school every day. That's not you, right? But this day was special because we would be going trick-or-treating and getting candy. Finally, the bell rang and we got out of school. Everybody poured out the front door. Free at last, Michael shouted. It's candy time, Ryan yelled. Mrs. Patty was standing on the front steps of the school in her witch costume. Her warts still didn't fall off. She told us again that we should make sure to trick or treat at her house because she has more candy than anyone in town. And remember, she said, don't let the Halloween monster catch you. The what? I've never heard of the Halloween monster, I said. Oh, sure, said Mrs. Patty. Every year the Halloween monster chops up kids, steals their candy, and keeps it for himself. Yikes! The Halloween monster? I looked at Michael. Michael looked at Ryan. Ryan looked at me. Then we all tore out of there as fast as we could. I don't know. Have you ever heard of the Halloween monster? Me either. Tomorrow we'll continue. Chapter 6 is called The Giant Bananas and Two-Headed Astronauts. Sounds pretty interesting. Have a good one, guys. Stay cool, drink lots of water. Bye.